Alright, so we're actually going to skip number 7 because it was exactly like number 6, so we don't need that. Let's look at 8. I'm going to actually have you do part of this. I'll kind of get you started here. We want to find angle R, but to do that, we need to find one of these angles here. So what we need to do then is recognize that consecutive angles are supplementary. So that means that 3x plus 5 plus 8x minus 12 has to add up to 180. From here, you should be able to solve this equation to find x. And then you can find maybe this angle and know that R has to be congruent to angle P. So I want you to try that one, see how it goes. Let's go ahead and move on to looking at rectangle properties, rhombus, and square. So if PQRS is a rectangle, now let's mark up our diagram. ST is 12, PRS is 23, so PRS, we're looking here. So 23. Find each measure. So in a rectangle, remember that we're going to have our diagonals are going to bisect each other. So if we're asked to find SQ, and we know that ST is 12, that means that QT has to also be 12, which means the whole diagonal is 12 plus 12, which is 24. So PR I want to go back to a property here. I'm going to scroll back up to our family tree. Rectangles, diagonals are congruent. So that means if SQ is 24, this diagonal PR is congruent. So it's also 24. So let's label that. All right, so QPR, let's highlight this. QPR, that angle. That's when I want you to think of alternate interior angles. I'll extend my lines here again. So I write PQ and SR are parallel. And then if we look at PR as our transversal, we see that this angle and this angle are alternate interior angles, so they're congruent. So let's kind of clean this up a little bit. So that means that they have the same measure, and that is 23 degrees. I'd write a note and say alternate interior angles. Let's label that. Alright, so the measure of angle PSR. So PSR. So this whole angle here. What do we know about a rectangle? Let's scroll up. This is what you're going to need to do when you're doing these problems, unless you have everything memorized. 4 right angles. So let's scroll down. That means that this is a right angle. So right angle, that measure is 90 degrees. Alright, so the measure of angle SQR. Okay, SQR. SQR. How do we find that? So we're looking here. What do we think? Okay, so I'm going to pause there. I want you to think about that. I want to look at measure of angle PTQ. PTQ. Oops. PTQ, which is this one right here. So really remember that because, let's go back to this one, because all of your angles are 90 degrees, that means that they're congruent angles, okay? So we know that this angle, this part of angle right here is 23, so that means that right here has to be 23 minus 90, which is 67, so let's label that. So that means that we can really, let's clean that up a little bit, we can really find every other angle doing that. So, like if we look, what am I trying to say? Now that, because we know this is 90, that means all of these angles are congruent. And I know that this part of the 90 degree angle is 23, and then this part 67. That means that I can find SQR by using that, okay? So SQR is going to be 67. So now, let's go ahead and find the measure of angle PTQ. So right here, we're looking here, I'll highlight it, PTQ. Well, to do that, I recognize, well, I have a triangle. What do we know about the measures inside of a triangle? They add up to 180. But right now, I only have this angle, so we need to find what this angle is. Remember that we have, congruent 90 degree angles like our corners. So if this is 67, that means that this one has to be 90 minus 67, which is 23. So I see I have one angle that's 23, another angle that's 23 within this triangle that's outlined in blue. That means I can find this angle. So here's how we're going to do that. 180, all the angles inside of a triangle add up to 180. So 180 minus 23 minus 23. And that's going to give you PTQ, and that's 134. So this is getting a little bit trickier. So stay with me. Take a beat if you need to. Get that written down. Think about it. All right, let's look at number 10. We're going to look at a rhombus now. So JKLM is a rhombus, and the measure of side, MK, is 30. So let's go ahead and do that. So MK is 30. Okay, that's going to be hard to label, so we'll just have to remember that. NL is 13, so I will label that. NL is 13, the measure of angle MKL. So MKL, we're talking about this angle right here, is 41 degrees. Find each measure. Alrighty, so we're asked to find NK first. So right here. Now we know that MK, the whole diagonal, is 30. Remember that rhombi, or this rhombus, right, also has properties of parallelograms. One property is that diagonals bisect each other. So that means that if MK, that whole diagonal, is 30, that if we cut it in half, MN is 15 and NK is 15. Let's see if MN is on here. It's not. Okay, that's fine. So we found one, NK. Now we're asked to find JL. So if we know that MK bisects JL, so cuts it into two equal parts, we know that one part is 13. That means the other part is also 13. So the whole thing is 13 plus 13, which equals 26. Alright, now we're asked to find KL. This gets a little bit tricky here, because we think, well, I don't know any of my sides, so I'm not sure how to find this. But remember that, let's go back to our family tree here, that rhombi diagonals are perpendicular, so they form a 90-degree angle. That's going to help us. Look, I'll make it in pink. That means we have a 90-degree angle right here. So what kind of triangle is this? A right triangle. Notice, I have a leg, that's 13. I have another leg, that's 15. Can I find this third side? Yes, I can use the Pythagorean theorem. Let's just call KLC just for to make it easier. So we're going to have 15 squared plus 13 squared equals C squared. So if we calculate that on your calculator, 15 squared is 225. 13 squared, I think that's 169. Let me just check real fast. Yeah, 169 equals C squared. So I'm going to quickly go through this on how to do it if you need that help. So 169 plus 225 is 394 equals C squared. So from here, to undo squaring a number, we need to take the square root. So what you're calculating here then is the square root of 394. To do that on your calculator, you press second x squared, and you're going to get about 19.8. So let's go ahead and get that written out then. I'm going to write it here. That is for this work. See, so that did kind of get a little trickier, right? We're kind of upping the ante a little bit here. Now let's look. Let's just move right along. Angle JKM. JKM. So right here, we want to find that angle. If I know that MKL is 41, so I have it, why isn't it, okay, I have part of this is 41. How can I find the other part? Well, let's go back to our family tree. Rhombi. Diagonals bisect opposite angles. That means cuts it in two. So if this is 41, this has to also be 41. Do you see how I'm going back to my family tree to help me? I'm referring back to that first page. Alright, so JML. JML. Oh, that's not too bad here. So for JML, remember that diagonal bisects the opposite opposite angles. So we want to look here. We know that MK, that diagonal, bisected this angle, 41. So that means that this angle is also going to be split into 41 and 41 because opposite angles are congruent. So that means that JML is well, we're talking about the whole angle, so it's going to be 41 plus 41, which is 82 degrees. So now let's look at MLK. MLK. So, again, how are we going to find MLK? Well, now we can look at the triangle angle sum theorem. So if I know that this angle is 41, and I want to find, wait, what was the angle? JLK, and I want to find this whole angle here, well, let's just focus on half of that. Let's just focus right here. I have a triangle. I'm going to outline it in blue. Do we see that triangle? Here's what I need you to think of. Well, I have 41 degrees, and then I have two angles, but I know the measure of one of those angles, right? diagonals are perpendicular. So that means we have a 90-degree angle, a 41-degree angle. Can I find this angle? Yes. I'm going to do 180 minus 90 minus 41, and that's going to equal the measure of angle, what, MLJ? So let's do that. 180 minus 90 minus 41, and that's 49 degrees. Okay, so let's clean this up. So then we have 49 degrees. So now, if I want to find the whole angle, remember, diagonals bisect angles. So if that's 49, that means that this angle is 49 as well. So then if I want to find MLK, I need to take 49 plus 49. So 49 plus 49, and you should get 98 degrees. Almost done with this. So the measure of angle MNL. So let's highlight it. MNL. Oh, this one's not too bad. We talked about this. We've used this a lot. Diagonals are perpendicular. So that means this is just 90 degrees. Not diagonals. The diagonals, when they cross each other, form 90-degree angles. All right, last one, KJL. KJL. So we're looking here. Remember that diagonals bisect opposite angles, so we just want to look at this angle here. JL bisects this angle that I marked in black into two equal parts, which is 49 degrees. So that means that that's going to do the same thing for this angle. So KJL is going to be 49 degrees. Alrighty. So I feel like the rhombus really kind of stepped up the game a little bit. So for a square, I would kind of like you to try this one on your own. I want you to remember you can use all the properties of a parallelogram, rhombi, and rectangles. There's one thing I want to point out here. Maybe I'll just do like the first two with you. So first, label your diagram. WZ is 27. Okay. So that would mean that all the other sides then are 27. So we can label that to help us here. Yeah, I need to do the second one with you. All right, so maybe, yeah. So the A, ZY right here, all sides in a square are congruent. So that means we're going to have 27 here. So then is a square with WZ equals 27. Find each measure. Now let's look here. WY. This one's really tricky, so I guess I do want to do this with you. So WY is this. You're probably thinking like, what? I don't have any measure of my diagonals. I have no idea how to get that. But I need you to kind of think about a square. I need to think of some other shapes that are formed. So I'm going to outline a triangle. Do we see that triangle? Notice that already I have all right angles in a square. I have a leg, 27. I have another leg, 27. How can I find this leg? Let's call it C. Pythagorean theorem. So that's 27 squared plus 27 squared equals C squared. So when you square that and add together, you'll get 1,458 equals C squared. From here, I need you to think about how you're going to find C. And once you find C, how you can find the other pieces of information. Alright, so I'm going to stop there. I'll probably make another video of the ones I wanted you to try on your own. Make sure on Tuesday that you come to class with questions about this video.